recap the weekend and go over some of the college football opening lines for Week 10 with myself and the encyclopedia. How you doing today, Connor?
Doing great, coming off another winning weekend. That's back to back to back winning weekend. So no complaints on that end.
Good. At least one of us did. I went down 2-3 this weekend, so my winning streak was snapped. Mostly because Kentucky. I don't want to blame Kentucky because they actually like had a great offensive game. They had just as many yards as Tennessee, scored I believe 38 points on the Volunteers, somewhere in that area. They scored a lot of points, but a pick six killed them, and then some weird reverse triple fumble, and basically Tennessee scored in one play. Volunteers also scored, I think it was twice at the very end. So they scored once with like 2 seconds before half, and I think that was a fourth down play. They went for it on fourth down. They scored right before half, and then I believe at the end of the third or fourth quarter they went for it again on fourth down, got a touchdown. So I don't really blame Tennessee for running up the score because Kentucky was actually keeping pace with them. But eventually they did go down. I should have went with my gut and my first instinct, which was Houston. So that one's on me. My other two losses were also awful games. Arkansas blows a 14-point lead. They finally get a turnover. They get a pick six. Everything's looking great, but Jackson Arnold gets injured. And of course, once that happens, I'm shaking in my boots because I know the backup's better than Jackson Arnold. So in comes Daniels, and Auburn runs away, gets a couple interceptions. Taylon Green looks terrible. Arkansas looks defeated, and they get run out of their own building. And it was a nightmare, almost as bad as watching Iowa State blow their lead and their dominant performance against BYU. They end up getting smashed by double digits after controlling the entire, I would say, first half of the game, close to it, third quarter. But a muffed fumble, a couple bad penalties. It just didn't go my way for the Hawkeyes. So they're just as bad as we thought they were, and they are still fraudulent. But that was my weekend. How did yours go?
Went pretty well. The afternoon slate was absolutely incredible. So third consecutive winning weekend for me. Went four and
Good.
three. Southern Miss, they just keep on rolling, guys. Now they have a bye week this week, but the following week they play at Arkansas State, and guess who I'm going to be on again? Southern Miss. Currently 4-0 in Sunbelt play and 4-0 against the spread. 4-0 straight up.
Yeah.
And that's a team coming off of a one-win season, and they look to be in the driver's seat to play for the Sun Belt title to represent the West Division. They host Troy. That'll probably decide the West Division this year. Colorado State plus 5.5. That was awful. That was me backing teams that were coming off of coach firings. They were
Uh huh.
6-1 against the spread going into that game, and I'm thinking, hey, ride the trend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the trend didn't ride with me. Florida Atlantic plus 15.5. John, I finally had a good beat.
Finally,
Finally. I'm
finally, a
always
backdoor cover goes your way, right?
Finally, I'm never on the right side of those. Never. Finally, I'm on the good side of a backdoor cover. So now, to be fair, John, this was a competitive game for three quarters, and then Navy just steamrolled FAU in the
Mm-hmm.
fourth quarter. I'm like, here we go again. I'm going to find a way. I'm on the right side of this, and it still will not go my way, and it went my way. So I'm happy with that. Wake Forest plus 3.5. They were the right side, and they still almost screwed me over. So
They almost blew it too.
so that was the right side, and I ended up coming out victorious. Wake Forest ended up winning outright against SMU, so I like that play. Iowa minus 8.5. That was never in doubt.
No.
So that was a suspicion that I had about the low point total, the overall point total,
Mm-hmm.
low volatility in the game. Why is the spread 8.5? That's why everyone was taking Minnesota plus the points. It's a rivalry. Those games are always close. They normally are. I just thought
Yep.
this year was a little different. That was correct. Buffalo minus 9.5 against Akron. Buffalo lost outright at home to Akron.
Yeah, I checked the score because I was scrolling through, and then I saw Akron was actually killing them whenever the last time and the only time I saw the score. So I can't imagine Buffalo made a comeback, but it looked
Man,
pretty bad.
that is embarrassing for Buffalo. This was
Maybe
a
the most
team.
points they've scored all season, I would imagine. Akron.
It's up there. I think they may have had 28 or so against Central Michigan.
Oh, okay.
But it's up there. Yep, it's their team total was 17 and a half. I'm not sure where it closed,
Yeah.
but it was 17 and a half, juiced under the last time I checked it, and they ended up scoring 24. That's embarrassing for Buffalo. Buffalo had MAC title hopes coming into the year, and
Hmm.
Akron was supposed to be one of the worst teams in the MAC, and you lose as a 9.5 point favorite. Everyone was, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but there were a lot of people that were thinking Buffalo is finally going to cover in the MAC because they host Akron. This is a good opportunity to kind of put up an impressive performance, which Buffalo had yet to do,
Hmm.
and they lost, much less not covering. So Buffalo suffering their first MAC loss of the year, and they are 0-4 against the spread in conference play. Yikes, Buffalo, that's bad.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I'll take 10 seconds. LSU plus 2.5. Yikes!
Yeah.
Backs up against the wall, and now that their backs went through the wall, and now they're on the other side, which means a new coach. Brian
Yep.
Kelly was fired after the result of that game, and that was kind of the last straw, the straw that broke the camel's back there for Brian Kelly. Yeah, LSU at night is normally money. It's you can back LSU
Hmm.
at night in Tiger Stadium, but it didn't come through. Congratulations to Texas A&M. But yeah, that was a bad look for LSU. They were
Yep.
winning at halftime, but the second half, just like last year against A&M, the second half against the Aggies was disastrous. I
Yeah.
mean, that was
It was
terrible. So
bad.
4-3 against the spread overall this past week. Some terrific wins there, a couple of bad losses, but another winning weekend. That's three straight winning weekends.
That's good. I'm glad. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of games this upcoming week that I really that I love. I don't even want to say like that I really like, and a lot of spreads that I disagree with. Did you come across any of those so far?
I do have an early best bet for a Friday game,
All
but
right, what's that one?
so John, I'm kind of the opposite of you. So like this past Saturday, I liked a lot, and
Yep.
I had another winning weekend. This coming week, I don't like as many, but I do have a play for Friday, which we'll get into here shortly. But what are some of the ones that you were eyeing?
I like. I'll just go ahead and jump right in it, and we'll go over the ones that I like, and not only the ones that I like and have played, but also some games to keep an eye on the number because these have been bouncing a little bit today at least. And I wrote these in rotation order. So New Mexico +5 at UNLV. I believe the Rebels are coming off a bye week, but New Mexico, I think they're just as good talent wise as UNLV. And I don't give UNLV a huge home field advantage because I would imagine New Mexico usually does travel well to Las Vegas. So I don't really think that's a huge factor. But getting more than a field goal, getting more than 4 points with a pretty strong Lobos team that at least can score some points. So if this turns into a shootout, at least the Lobos can kind of keep pace with the Rebels. But that's not one that I bet yet. But getting 5 points there, that's a spread that I'm eyeing, and I believe this number will only go down to maybe close at 3.5, 4.5. Maybe gets down to 3, so that's something to keep an eye on. But that's not one I've played yet, but I have it circled. Another one is Minnesota hosting Michigan State. I believe Michigan State's dead in the water right now. Fan base is completely turned on Jonathan Smith and the Spartans for good reason. Writing's kind of on the wall that he's going to go back to Oregon State, his alma mater. It makes sense. The Beavers will actually be in a real conference. They'll be playing meaningful football enough again to entice him to go back because that was one of the main reasons he left Oregon State to begin with was it was just going to be a complete dead period for the Beavers and not being in a conference or technically being in the Pac-12, but I mean, they're just not. They're not really playing meaningful games. And he's looked awful. I don't know if you could say he's really built a team there. What is this? Year number three? Year number two?
Let's see, 24. I think year two.
Okay, this is year two, so of course he's still got time, but they haven't looked great. Aiden Childs, again, I'm not a fan. Hasn't worked out. Maybe he's the answer. He's also pretty young, true sophomore, but it doesn't look good there. And Minnesota coming off of a deflating loss at Iowa. Now they come back home against a beat up and a Michigan State team without a whole lot of talent. I think this is a great spot for Minnesota. This is at 3.5 right now, and it's juiced to Michigan State, so you could wait around to see if a three pops. But again, I love Minnesota in this game. Anything under a touchdown, I think the Gophers will bounce back. That's kind of a PJ. This is a great PJ Fleck situation here for him, coming off that bad Iowa loss, and I believe if he's not undefeated against Michigan State, I believe he's about 9-1, somewhere around there. I have to get fact checked on that, but I love Minnesota in this spot. It does say 3.5, but again, I could see this line moving anything under a touchdown, even if it gets to 7. Because remember, Michigan State was um, a 14-point road dog at Nebraska, 14 point road dog, no, 19 at USC. So this is, in my opinion, a discounted price for the Gophers, coming off of a loss where they look bad, but are they really bad? I don't know if they're that bad compared to the way Michigan State's playing right now. And then the next game that I love and I already have a ticket on, and that's the Kansas State Wildcats plus 7.5. You are gonna have to lay a $1.20 juice on that. They host Texas Tech. I believe this is a 2:30 game, but I love K State in this spot. They came up huge for me on Saturday against Kansas. Fumbled the opening kickoff. Kansas immediately scores, and then it was K State the rest of the way. I believe they went up 21-7 and never looked back from there. Great win. They've dominated that rivalry against Kansas, and they've also have dominated Texas Tech. I believe Kansas State is 9-1 in the last 10 games total there against the Red Raiders, and Kansas State with some momentum at home. I kind of like it. It's obviously not nothing I'm gonna say guarantee because Texas Tech does have talent, but this Kansas State team momentum at home, getting some points here. I like the Wildcats getting 7.5, and that's what I do have. The next game is Mississippi State at Arkansas. As we know, I've been watching Arkansas every game almost this year, and this is a team that I don't want to say they've quit, but they literally have zero defense. And if something goes wrong offensively, it everything goes wrong. And Mississippi State, I believe, is 7-1 against the spread this
That sounds
year.
right. Yeah.
I believe it was one push. I don't even think they have a loss. I think it was a push. Um, and I actually had Mississippi State plus 7.5 against Texas. That thankfully got through. They dominated regarding the spread the entire game, but in overtime there was a sack fumble, and it looked like Texas could have picked it up and scored a touchdown. Luckily, that didn't happen. But that's the type of Saturday I had to where Texas would have scooped that up for a touchdown, but it didn't happen. Or not a yeah, it would have been a touchdown in that scenario because it wouldn't be a 2 point conversion. So yeah, so that luckily avoid that. But this Mississippi State team, I believe they don't have an SEC win, and neither does Arkansas. Kind of like this last weekend against Auburn and Arkansas. So I just don't like what I'm seeing, especially defensively from Arkansas. I think this is a spot they're gonna have less fans there, less of a crowd, and if Mississippi State can clean up some game management issues that Jeff Lebby had against Texas. They should have beat Texas, but Lebby, a little over aggressive and made some weird decisions throughout the game there. And of course, special teams cost Mississippi State big time. I believe there's a block kick, punt return for a touchdown. They got killed on special teams, cost them the game. So if they can tighten that up, I like Mississippi State getting more than a field goal. 4.5 is perfect because it's a game where they could literally win, and I'm not expecting much of a crowd there for Arkansas either. And then the next game is a number I love and that I'm on, and that's Tennessee -3 hosting Oklahoma. This will be a 6:30 game. The Josh Heupel Bowl. Like I said, Tennessee looked amazing against Kentucky. They were super aggressive, which was fine because Kentucky didn't have any. They didn't have a chance to breathe, so they just got bum rushed, and it worked. And Joey Aguilar's looking on fire right now, and Oklahoma is just they're drowning right now, offensively, defensively. Mateer hasn't had a great game since coming back from injury, or a good game, I should add. They can't move the ball. He can't throw it, and they can't push the ball. Ole Miss was selling out on the pass rush. This offensive line is struggling. So if that's Tennessee's one strength is the pass rush. So if they get a great pass rush, I think they're going to have a great game. I don't understand this spread whatsoever. Yes, I Oklahoma I could see coming out playing great, but that's what I thought they were going to do against Ole Miss, and Ole Miss just destroyed them. It probably should have been a worse score. I just don't see Oklahoma keeping pace with this Tennessee team. Their offense, even if the defense plays perfectly, the offense would have to play, a perfect game, scoring I would think more than 3 touchdowns, and I just don't see Oklahoma keeping pace with Tennessee. This spread should be closer to at least 6. Oklahoma was a 5-point favorite at home. Now they're a 3-point dog at Tennessee. It just doesn't make sense to me. So that's easily I'll live and die with a Tennessee -3 ticket. I wouldn't if I lose that I lose it, but no way can I back this Oklahoma team for those reasons. They're just a little too banged up, and with Mateer being injured and that offensive line being pretty poor, it's just a recipe for disaster. Now they have to go on the road. I'm not liking that. And last but not least, this is a number I'm waiting on. But Nebraska +6.5 at home. They did struggle against Northwestern, but classic look ahead spot for Nebraska. I believe they either pushed or covered. I think that was either a 6 or 7 point win, hosting Northwestern. Now they play USC. USC, I believe, is coming off a bye, but after what I saw against Notre Dame, Lincoln Riley is a little hard to trust, and this will be I believe, a 6:30 game on the road for USC. They struggled against Notre Dame, whose defense is improving, but is still not great. Nebraska does have a pretty good offense, so it'll be able to put some pressure on USC. USC's defense is nothing special, so I don't believe this spread is correct. Maybe USC -3, 4, but 6.5, 7. There's a 7 earlier today. I'm just not seeing it. So give me Nebraska +6.5. I'd rather have the 7, of course, but again, this is a game I think Nebraska could win at home. They went to the wire with USC last year on the road, and in my opinion, USC had a much better team last season. So this is a little revenge spot for Nebraska. I think they win the game. So 6.5, 7. Again, I'd rather have the 7 just in case. But like I said, this game went to the wire last year. This is a sneaky revenge spot for Nebraska. And the way they played poor against Northwestern, I'm expecting a big game from Nebraska on Saturday. So that's what I have right now. I really love all those plays. Of course, waiting on a couple numbers, but these are definitely games that I'm going to be on. And last time we had a show like this where I liked 5 or 6 games, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went 5-1. Only loss being South Carolina hosting Oklahoma. So whenever there's openers like this that I love, it's usually a good sign. So I love all of these, and I'm more than likely going to be on all of them. Um, and we'll see come tomorrow morning. So that's what I have. You have anything, or what have you seen so far?
I want to make sure that I have all these things down just in case, so I can have a graphic prepared already for
Okay.
Friday. I
Okay.
have Kansas State plus 7.5, Nebraska plus 6 or plus 6.5,
6.5.
6.5,
Yeah.
Tennessee minus 3.5.
Correct.
Okay, what else did you have there?
Um, Minnesota minus three and a
Minus-
half. Mississippi plus 4.5. And New Mexico plus 5.
Okay. New Mexico plus 5.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, K State plus 7.5, Nebraska plus 6.5, Tennessee minus 3.5, Minnesota minus 3.5, Mississippi State plus 4. Is it plus 4.5?
Mississippi State plus 4.5.
Plus 4.5, and then New Mexico plus 5.
Yeah, and Minnesota's minus 3.5,
Yeah.
and Tennessee's minus 3.
Oh, minus 3. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. All right, all right. I'll give y'all my first best bet. I'm gonna go with the weeknight game. Give me Rice plus 14.5 hosting Memphis. So this is a play on Ryan Silverfield and what he normally does in these kind of games. So I have made this comment before. In fact, I said it a couple weeks ago before Memphis played UAB. I don't trust Ryan Silverfield when it comes to laying a large number against an inferior opponent. And I've seen Memphis lose these kind of games. We just saw it against UAB. Most times, though, Memphis just escapes with the win in these kind of games. They don't cover the large number. They have done this so many times under Ryan Silverfield. Viewers, y'all can go back and look at Memphis' schedule over the past handful of seasons. Go look up Memphis or look for Memphis against inferior opponents in conference play, and you'll see what I'm saying. They normally win, but it's a close margin. Memphis, though, when you get them against the better teams on their schedule, they'll show up. Memphis is a very talented team. They are arguably, over the last few years, honestly, several years, you could probably go back to like 2018, 2019. I would argue Memphis, collectively, over those several years, is the most talented G5 team in the country. I think this year they are certainly one of the more talented teams among the G5 schools. So when you get them playing up in competition, they will show up against the Power Four team on their schedule. Watch out against the USFs and this year like a Navy or a North Texas even. Watch out. But when they have to play a Charlotte or Rice or a UAB, they may not play their A effort. Well, Memphis coming off of a loss to UAB and then a win against South Florida doesn't make any sense there, right? That's Ryan Silverfield in Memphis for you. Do you know who Memphis has to play next week? Tulane.
Where's that game at?
I believe Memphis host Tulane next week.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay.
It's definitely yeah, they host Tulane next Saturday. So again, Memphis coming off the emotional come from behind win against South Florida at home. Now on a short week, having to go play on the road against a Rice team that's going to slow the pace down. Scott Abel, their first year coach, really good coach. I love this was something that I had on my radar in the preseason in regards to Rice this year. I don't think Rice is very talented. They're not going to be contending for the American title. It's still going to be an uphill battle for Rice to make a bowl game, although they do have 4 wins now after upsetting UConn, by the way, who was on a roll going into this past week. Rice, but I had on my radar Rice whenever they are giving a couple of scores. Like they are a good team to back, especially with Scott Abel in these kind of spots. Meanwhile, Ryan Silverfield and Memphis in these kind of games, they don't normally give their A effort. They don't normally give their A effort. And I just like in this spot here, John, you're coming off of a huge win against USF. You have Tulane on deck at home. Why would you give your A effort against a team that you should beat? Right? Just get out of there with a win, right?
It happened. I mean, we saw this a week ago against UAB.
Right. And so you're giving me plus 14 and a half. I think this number is probably going to close at like 13 and a half. Give me Rice plus 14 and a half. Dare I say, similar to UAB, that Rice might be a live dog. Because this is me anticipating the typical Ryan Silverfield and Memphis performance in these kind of spots. Like I think Rice can slow the pace down. They can stay with Memphis. I don't think Memphis is going to bring their A game. Again, they're coming off a huge victory. I highly doubt Memphis goes all out for this game. So give me Rice plus 14 and a half as an early best bet on Friday evening.
Okay, and this is okay Friday. I'm trying to look here to see. Okay, Rice is coming off a home win against UConn. All right, which is nice. We know they got killed by UTSA on the road. They lost by 6 at home to Florida Atlantic. They lost by 8 at Navy, and then they beat Charlotte. So those are all good signs. Um, and last time they faced Memphis last year at Memphis, they only lost by 7 points. That could have also been a look ahead spot. You may want to check that because that's I wouldn't be surprised if that was also a look ahead spot for Memphis.
Not really.
It
Memphis
wasn't.
had they had UAB the week after, who they ended up killing. But
Yeah.
um, I've just seen it before because you want to use last year as an example. Remember when Memphis beat Florida State last year? Now this was early on in the season before we knew just how bad Florida State
Yeah.
was. But at that time, when Memphis got that win in Tallahassee, everyone was saying, "Oh, Memphis is the G5 representative. They are easily in front of the G5 race there." And what did they do the very next week on the road against a triple option team, something that Rice does this year now?
Mhm.
They lost against Navy. High scoring game because Navy was actually pretty good last
Yeah.
year, and they are again this year. But they lost. I mean, and I think Memphis, if I remember correctly, y'all can go back and check this. I think Memphis was around a 10-point favorite in that game, and Navy won by 12. So I have seen it, and y'all can use the UAB game just a couple weeks ago. There are several examples of Ryan Silverfield in these kind of spots not having his team prepared to the level that they should be. Because against these inferior opponents, Memphis knows it can just bring its B game, sometimes even its C plus game, and just come out with a victory. And they might do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Rice will win. I'm just saying I think Rice, as a as a two touchdown underdog, they have an outside chance to win if Memphis performs how I think that they might. But Memphis also might just kind of cruise and win by, a score or so. But 14 and a half here, that's a pretty large number to cover.
Yeah. No, I like where you're at with this.
And Scott Abel and Rice, John, you were just talking about it a few minutes ago. When they are in a large underdog role outside of UTSA, and we were on UTSA in that game against Rice.
Correct.
That was a bad spot for Rice. But look against the better teams that they face this year. Not I guess not a large sample size, but they oftentimes cover when there's a large number for their opponent to have to cover
Yeah.
because Rice slows the pace down. They are good at making a game kind of ugly. And like UConn has more talent than Rice. FAU has more talent than Rice. Navy certainly has more talent than Rice this year, and they were able to hang around in those games. They were able to beat UConn, hang around with
Hmm.
Navy, hang around for against FAU for a while. I mean, I just think this is a good spot for Rice. And again, it's a short week for Memphis. They
Yeah.
don't need to play their A game to win. I I like Rice plus 14 and a half.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you for all those reasons. Like I mean, we've talked about this all year. A lot of these games, if not, I wouldn't say all of them, but it's been about 90% where the dogs have been barking on these weeknight games.
Yep.
I mean, if you go back and look at the against the ATS on each one of these favorites, They've got to be not only losing, not covering the spread, but a lot of these teams are losing outright, even for against like road teams, especially the home teams. The home dogs have been great so far this season on these weeknight games, and 14 and a half points. I've got to agree with you because what was the spread against UAB? Was that 21?
Yep.
Okay, so 21, which I get it. I don't think they were. There's no way that they were going to hang a an opener of 21 again. But I mean, 14 points is that's looking pretty good, especially with the look ahead spot for a potential showdown with Tulane. Depending on how Tulane does against UTSA, Tulane's favored by 3.5 at UTSA in the Alamo Dome on Thursday night. That's going to be an interesting game. A lot of pressure on the Roadrunners and Jeff Traylor to get a big win for the Roadrunners to get some sort of something good to happen for the football team. Of course, he's got an amazing record at home, but it's been getting destroyed anytime the Roadrunners are away from the Alamo Dome. So it's going to be a very interesting to see what happens, especially to see if Tulane wins or loses. If they lose, you could see this Memphis team even slacking a little bit more um, come Saturday. But we'll see. We'll see, or Friday night rather. But it's an interesting little back-to-back game there, Thursday and Friday, heading
I'm
into next week's showdown.
I'm going to so I can repost it on my story if it actually ends up taking place. I'm going to summarize. I'm going to make like a quick like little 15-20 second saying here for
Uh huh.
Rice and Memphis. Give me Rice plus 14 and a half. These are the kind of spots that Memphis under Ryan Silverfield typically do not cover. Kind of a trap game here. Rice can slow the pace down. I like Rice plus 14 and a half here. It would not shock me to see them hang around and make things very interesting. There we go.
I like it. I like the play. Um, maybe fool me once with Memphis, fool me twice, and they show up. You never know, but I feel a lot more comfortable that it's on a Friday, short week, and yeah, 14 points. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, give me 14 to hook too. That's a FanDuel right now.
Yeah,
You do have to
14
lay
and
a
a
little bit of
half.
juice. Yeah, you do have to lay a little bit of juice there, minus 118. But I don't mind that for this spot. I tell you
Is
what,
there anything else that you've seen that you like so far
I
for
was
this coming week?
I was just about to look up on my phone some other games here. Um, man, what are some things that I was leaning? Texas money line against Vandy.
Yes, very interesting game there. UT, I believe this opened at 2.5, got to three, now down to, I believe, -1 for the Longhorns.
Yeah.
A little juice. I think last I saw was -1, laying $1.12. For me, I'm gonna have to. Well, you go ahead. Go ahead and tell us about this one.
Well, I know this didn't prove to be true this past week in the SEC. We saw all the better record teams win.
Yeah,
But as we get into November, I still feel like there's going to be some upheaval in the SEC with some of the better teams dropping, a game where it's like,
yeah,
okay, it's the SEC beating up on each other. I still feel like we're getting that. Again, I know it almost took place with South Carolina and Bama. We talked about that was a weird spot for Alabama, although I know we can't back Shane Beamer in South
yeah.
Carolina, but it was still not a good spot to tail Alabama at the very least.
Correct, correct.
I still feel like we're going to get some chaos in the SEC over the last month of the season. And when you talk about talent gap, boy, it exists in this game. And this strikes me as the kind of game everybody is going to be on Vanderbilt.
I agree.
Everybody, right? No one wants to back Arch Manning in Texas. And you know what? The
Well,
public,
let's see if Arch Manning even plays. I mean, the backup quarterback came in; he looked great. So he may not even play for all we know,
right?
and maybe that's why the spread moved. But I do agree with the line movement. If Arch Manning is out, but I really liked the way that backup quarterback looked and threw the ball.
And it just feels like there's going to be a game, and it hasn't happened yet. I know Vanderbilt's been on a roll, but I just like Vanderbilt going 10-2, 11-1. I know, they've started out well. There's only so many games left on their schedule to even lose that are even losable.
Yep.
It just feels like there's going to be a game with Vanderbilt where it's like, okay, not that Vanderbilt is a fraud. They are not a fraud. They've looked the part. I mean, they
Right.
had a chance to win at Alabama. So I
Yep.
am not saying that they are way overrated. I'm just saying, hey, in the SEC, what chance do you actually give Vanderbilt to go 11-1? Like it feels like there's going to be a loss coming, and it's just how I feel with. And then again, the talent gap here with Texas and Vanderbilt. Texas obviously has more talent. I know the quarterback matchup favors Vanderbilt in this game.
But what
Vanderbilt's going to
else?
get
You know what I mean? Maybe they
right.
have a better tight end, but like, what else does Vandy have that is better than Texas? I don't think
O
anything.
line. I think their offensive line's better right
Mm.
now.
Yeah, Texas offensive line has been struggling mightily. But again, Vanderbilt's two biggest games, other than Alabama, have been at home. So they've had back-to-back home games.
Yeah.
Now they got to travel on the road. SEC, Texas. You know, yes, they're scraping by, but now this is a huge game for Texas to kind of revive anything that they have in conference play. And basically, there's a lot on the line for Vanderbilt as well because don't they have kind of a they play Texas, I believe Kentucky, somebody else, and then Tennessee. They end the season with Tennessee, so not the easiest four-game stretch, but you still have to go on the road at Tennessee. Is it? I don't know. I know that's at Texas.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
Let's see their schedule here. Auburn. They play
Is,
at Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, at Tennessee.
wait, is Auburn at home?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least they have Auburn at home, and they play at Kentucky.
They host Kentucky as well, and then they'll play at Tennessee.
Okay, so the two hardest games are going to be on the road.
Yeah.
And is it still? I don't remember if there's like a cap on the amount of SEC or the amount of conference teams that get into the playoff. Is there a cap?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Some other games that I've been looking at. Whew, that Troy Arkansas State spread goes below a touchdown. I like Troy at home there against the Red Wolves. Arkansas State doing what they did last year, kind of smoke and mirrors. They
Yeah.
have a good quarterback and a good receiver, and that's about it. But they win those close games, man. But when Arkansas State loses, they get pummeled. And I think Troy's the better team. So if it goes below a touchdown, I like Troy there. Uh, I'm a little bit surprised by this movement, but like uh, this early in the week, I'm not totally against it because I was kind of looking to tail this team, but I'm just surprised it moved this much this early. Do you know, John? Utah's up to 9.5 now against
I
Cincinnati.
I can't. I looked at it earlier. I couldn't remember if it was 8.5 or 9. Wasn't were they favored by 11 or no?
They opened, I think, around
Oh,
five and a
okay.
half,
Okay.
maybe six.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of something else then. Um.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. No, that's huge. That's a big. That's a big. That's a big spread. I mean, even though it's a home game, they just killed Colorado, but Tennessee. I'm not Tennessee. Cincinnati. I don't know. Their defense isn't great. Their defense isn't great. But oh,
right.
but go ahead. Finish what you were gonna say about the game.
Um, I almost tweeted it out yesterday, Utah minus 6.5. But to be honest, John, like I'm not. I believe in Utah, but not to the degree of, oh my gosh, Cincinnati's way overrated, Utah's way underrated. Like I just didn't think it was that kind of spot. That's why I'm surprised we've had as much movement this early in the week with that. So I might just stay off of that game because like Cincinnati's offense is good enough to get a backdoor cover there and kind of hang around. So
Yeah.
I really don't have a strong lean, especially not at 9.5
Yeah, I feel
anymore.
like that's a game you gotta wait to see how the spread looks for like throughout the week because that feels like one that's gonna be going up and down, up and down, up until Saturday night.
Oh, um, am I gonna have to jump on the Auburn bandwagon again?
Who do they play?
Kentucky.
At home though, right? That is that the spread that's 11.
Maybe it's 11 at some places. I'm seeing 10.5 right now at some
Okay,
others.
maybe that's the 11. That's probably the 11 game that I was thinking about. So do we know who's starting at quarterback for Auburn?
Nope, I have not looked into it, but to me, this is just going back to my preseason where I'm like, okay, even if Auburn disappoints this year, they are light years ahead of Kentucky's roster. And like if Tennessee can blow Kentucky out at Kentucky, because I don't think Tennessee's roster from a talent standpoint is like
Hmm.
insane.
Yeah.
I there's got to be a game where Auburn, where like they have that moment where you're like, man, just imagine if Auburn played like that every week. I feel like this could be that kind of game.
Yeah, and it's also a good spot to fade Kentucky coming off of two huge back-to-back home games,
Yeah.
hosted Texas, losing a heartbreaker, and then kind of play well, but also get destroyed by Tennessee at the same time. I think they almost outgained Tennessee, to be honest with you. They had a lot of yards, but those two turnovers really killed Kentucky. But I think I want to say they at least had 500 yards of offense in that game. But yeah, I mean that's not a game I would like to play either way. But I know you do like I know you do like you some Auburn Tigers, and hopefully maybe Ashton Daniel starts for Auburn as well.
So ultimately, John, I mean, I came so close to pulling the trigger on Auburn futures this year. I did not end up doing it. But I will say this: I don't necessarily think Hugh Freeze has been bad for Auburn this year. I know his coaching in these close games. You could question his play calling, but I really just think it comes down to quarterback play for Auburn.
Yeah, yeah,
Be-
I agree.
I don't think Hugh Freeze has really been like you talk about some of the coaches that are getting fired or that are getting like on the hot seat, and I know Hugh Freeze is getting talked about that. To me, he's not even in the realm of the questionable coaching from these other guys that he's getting discussed in the same pool with. So
Yeah,
I don't hate Hugh Freeze still. And man, Auburn's defense, it's real good. And it's a young defense. The offensive line, it's still really good. Running back room, it's not extraordinary or anything, but
they're not terrible. They're not
but
terrible. They just don't have a quarterback, and that's kind of, I don't think Hugh Freeze is a bad coach, but we talked about this before the season even started. I said if you're gonna hitch your wagon to Jackson Arnold, like it's not gonna end well, and it hasn't for Auburn so far this
yeah.
season. And I don't. The other thing I didn't understand was he brings in five quarterbacks, but he doesn't give anyone else a chance, even in a blowout scenario. Thankfully, Jackson Arnold, not thankfully, but for Hugh Freeze's sake, if Jackson Arnold doesn't get injured in that right before halftime, there's no way Ashton Daniels comes into that game. And I believe that was a possession right after Arnold throws a pick six and he got hurt the next possession, I believe. So, yeah, Auburn has a chance here. And again, I don't think Hugh Freeze is a bad coach. He's put together a great roster offensively and defensively,
Yeah.
but it's clear as day that he picked the wrong quarterback, and that's why he's on the hot seat because they're underperforming, and a big reason why is quarterback play.
Yep. And if this is kind of where I was going with this. If Hugh Freeze is to keep his job, isn't this the kind of game he kind of runs it up?
Yeah, I mean he's basically fighting for his life right now. So yeah, if he has a chance to, he's going to. And after what I saw from this Kentucky defense,
Yeah.
yeah, they have a really good chance to. Kentucky, I mean, their offense, I think they found their quarterback. That's if they keep Stoops, because if Stoops leaves, who knows? Quarterback could transfer, but or he could transfer in general. But the quarterback looks like the real deal. The offense, like I said, the offense looked amazing. I've never seen Kentucky offense get 500 yards. I don't remember. I mean, it's been over 20 years since I've seen that. Andre Woodson at quarterback, but yeah, the defense, like I said, Tennessee scored on every single possession except for one. They punted once. So if Hugh Freeze actually puts together a good game plan, I believe you're right that it is a game where they can flex their muscles offensively.
I'm looking around for, um, man, this was at 9.5 and 10 yesterday, but I think it's 10.5 everywhere now. I'm
Ten and a
looking.
half.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. If I can get a flat 10, I'll take Auburn. Um, Let me see. Maybe it's at Bet 365.
Yeah, I mean we may see one.
Okay, let's see here. Dang it. It's 10.5 everywhere I'm looking. Do you have any, do you see any flat 10s anywhere?
No, it was 11. 11 when I looked.
Dang it. Okay.
So maybe it moves, maybe it doesn't, but I saw 11.
I'm looking
Was there any
around.
other games that you found or liked?
I kind of like Air Force against Army. And
Okay.
those kind of games are typically close with the military teams, right? And it normally comes down to which team has the better quarterback play. Air Force has the better quarterback. Now, I know that Air Force's defense is arguably the worst in the country. They played a little bit better against Wyoming. Um, but man, Air Force has the better quarterback. I feel like it's their game to take.
Yeah.
I might have something on that.
And what's the spread in that one?
It's around to pick 'em. Whole,
Oh, okay.
whole. Let me take it. I'm gonna take it. Give me a flat 10 at Bet Rivers with Auburn.
Oh, okay.
I think I highly doubt this number goes down to 9.5. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't I would doubt it. I think the only line movement I could see happening is after like the quarterbacks announce who's starting. If he even if he does, I don't think he has to until maybe like Friday or Saturday.
Um. Yeah, and there's a flat 7 for Troy at Bet Rivers, but um, I might just stay away from that. Um, because honestly, I'm kind of rooting against Troy because
Uh-huh.
Troy still has to play at Old Dominion. If if Old Dominion can pull that off, and then Troy loses another game, Southern Miss doesn't have to beat Troy to play for the Sun Belt West to play for the Sun Belt title. So that'd be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Ashton Daniels came in, went 6 of 8, 77 yards, 9 yards, 9.6 yards per pass, excuse me, and 55.5 QBR. So I mean, if Hugh Freeze values his job, he should start Daniels. So I like it. And the number might move in your favor if they rule Jackson Arnold out. I doubt it, but I think this Auburn team will be much better with Daniels at quarterback.
And the thing is, like a lot of Auburn's success against Arkansas was because of Arkansas's non-run defense. I do think Kentucky's run defense is better than Arkansas.
Yeah.
So there is a slight chance, that Auburn disappoints me once again, breaks my
Yeah.
heart. And
Yeah, I mean, laying double digits with Auburn, that's
yeah,
something you're going to have to kind of keep in the back of your mind.
but there is always this chance too that Kentucky's offense helps me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I know they look better against Tennessee, but Tennessee is giving up points to everyone. And for all the memes we can put out with Auburn this year and all the funny things we can say about them, the one thing that's been consistent with them every single week, their defense comes to play.
Yeah.
So it's very reliable. Some other things that I considered. Um, I do not like doing point overall point totals, as you know, but I kind of lean under 49.5 between Houston and West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
Houston's offense, not great. We know that. Their defense is pretty good. West Virginia, they stink everywhere. But Houston's coming off of an emotional win against Arizona State.
Yep.
Houston doesn't. It's kind of crazy to say about them about Houston, but Houston doesn't necessarily need to bring their A game to win this game. But we know that Houston's probably not going to give up many points, even if they get off to a slow start, just because West Virginia's offense is not that good to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this might just be a like a 24 to 10, 28 to 13 kind of win for
And
Houston.
this is a 14-point spread, correct?
Yeah.
And I kind of I don't have a bet on it, but this one I want to write down here. Um, all right, let me look at one more thing here.
I don't know if I want to ultimately pull the trigger on a game total, but I definitely have a lean there. That's for sure. Um,
Okay, perfect. Oh wait, no.
Let me
But
see. There was a. I want to pull up Air Force history against Army. I know the last year they
I
didn't do very
don't
well,
I
but
don't hate West Virginia getting 14 points against Houston.
hmm.
I talked about this a couple weeks ago after the BYU game. The backup quarterback Scotty Fox, I thought that they should have started him. Saw him play a little bit against BYU, but they started the other freshman, and Fox started the whole game against TCU. This was at least at home, and they only lost by 6. Huge letdown spot for Houston, so there's potential there for West Virginia to kind of keep this one close. So that's a number to keep an eye on. Or if you want to jump at West Virginia plus 14 now, I kind of like that backing West Virginia in this spot, letdown spot for Houston.
um,
I don't hate it.
you know what? I'm gonna stay away from Air Force. Actually, looking back at it, they have not fared well against Army in recent years with that coaching matchup. I do think Air Force has the better quarterback, but I'm not gonna sweat out that kind of a
Yeah,
game. Let's
yeah,
see.
I definitely don't want to either.
Hmm. Iowa State now 6.5 point favorites against Arizona State.
That's an interesting game. Again, I want nothing to do. I want nothing to do with that game. I wouldn't be surprised if that game came down to a field goal. I don't know what Tyson's status looks like, or the quarterback Levitt. Um, so yeah, I could definitely see Iowa State, bouncing back, but it's not something I wanna bet on or against them.
See if I can find what. Ugh. I'm gonna pull up another team I'm kind of curious about. San Diego State, and they just keep covering spreads, and they're playing against a Wyoming team that I just don't think is very good. I know they
What
beat. I know
Wyoming
I've
on the
lost.
road?
San Diego State host Wyoming,
Okay. What's the spread there?
10.5 roughly. There's some
Okay.
places with 11.
Yeah, I believe Wyoming coming off of back. Is it back-to-back wins?
Um, that sounds. No, they lost to Air Force, but they beat
Okay.
Colorado State. It's funny.
Yeah.
I've. I don't think Wyoming's very good, but they beat me 2 times.
Yeah, they're especially if they're at home, they have a tendency to show up.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like him against San Diego State, but boy, I am. It's so funny with San Diego State. I've been all over San Diego State this year, but I've only taken them once, and that's been the only time they haven't covered.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
funny, man.
they've been dominating. Which
Um,
I thought Fresno State would keep it close. They didn't. They ended up just getting destroyed. But yeah, Aztecs seem like the real deal in the Mountain West.
Yes, they are right there with Boise to potentially win the conference. Now, I'll say this, guys. Not this week, but next week there's actually a couple of lines that I'm going to be having my eye out for. Unless Texas Tech's quarterback Baron Morton gets hurt this week, I am laying it with Texas Tech against BYU. Absolutely laying it.
Texas Tech at home,
Yeah, hosting BYU, I am laying it with the Red Raiders.
and there's a potential Texas Tech will be coming off a loss as well.
Maybe so. We'll see. But I'm laying it with Texas Tech in that game. I'm laying it. And then also next week, San Diego State plays at Hawaii. Winner of that game might play for the Mountain West title against Boise, I would figure, unless there's
Doesn't Hawaii have a pretty tough game this week on Saturday? I think they have one of the late games, one of the last
you
games
know
of the
what?
night.
Yeah, I mean Hawaii still has to play at San Jose State. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
that's right. That's San Jose State. Yeah, late game, 9:30.
yeah, so I guess there's some potential chaos here. But here's where I was getting at. San Diego State against Boise might be the Mountain West game of the year. San Diego State hosts Boise.
Yeah,
The week before that, San Diego State has to travel to Hawaii, November 8th. That might be a look ahead game. So, San Diego State has been awesome against the spread this year. Typically, teams don't finish, a crazy 10-2 against the spread by the end of the year, right? They typically don't finish that good. San Diego
yeah,
State is currently on track to finish about 10-2, 9-3 ATS. So if there is a spot to bet against San Diego State, thinking that they've kind of capped in the market ATS wise, you might take Hawaii plus the points in that game.
yeah,
That's something to keep in mind. Plus Hawaii on the Big Island typically very good against the number and straight up. So, and by the way, Hawaii's also been really good against the spread this year. So it would make sense for
yeah.
Hawaii to lose against San Jose State in a close game on the road this week. By the way, San Jose State's currently a small favorite. So if you don't agree with the number there, there's maybe a reason why here. And then coming off of a loss, San Diego State coming off a home win against Wyoming, look ahead spot there for San Diego State. Hawaii actually might have some value next week. So there's a little bit of info for y'all there on the
Good.
look ahead line.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Is there anything else you found? Anything else that you like right now?
I have two best bets already for this week. So and I love both the plays. I mean,
Yeah, I love what I have right now as well. I'm just trying to write down the times. A lot of these games are at 2:30, which is fine. SEC. All right, perfect.
let me see
Um,
what West Virginia's team total is. It's probably very low. Wow. 17 and a half.
okay, that's not too bad. Like I said, I think they could like it's a huge letdown spot for Houston.
It is.
Um, I mean West Virginia getting 14 points. 14 if you can find 14, that's an 11 a.m. game as well. Early kick there. I'm gonna have to look a little bit more into that one, but I like that. I mean, 14 points. That one has my eye right now as well.
Yeah, I just
So
trying to.
two so far. Any other ones that you have?
Um, no. I don't think so right now.
Okay,
I'm
yeah, no
looking
problem.
around. I do find Wake Forest plus 8.5 at Florida State kind of interesting because
Agreed.
Florida State's kind of falling apart right now. Wake Forest is playing really well, but of course, That's all based on Wake Forest defense. It's not
Yeah,
their offense.
I kind of thought about that one as well, but the coaching and decision making in that Wake Forest game kind of makes me want to stay away from it. You know, it's kind of that feeling where like, okay, we got one against SMU. Do we want to do it? Do we want to try our luck twice? Kind of situation. So I think I just want to stay away from that one because, like I said, Wake Forest should have lost that game. We got lucky to get the cover. They were conservative all game, punting the ball, trusting their defense, which was fine. But then at the end, they became super aggressive and they passed on a field goal from like inside the 5 or inside the red zone twice. Came up with 0 points. Um, they went for it on short side of the field. SMU got the ball, and I think they missed the field goal. Multiple missed field goals, multiple missed extra points from SMU. I believe one extra point that was missed and two missed field goals. But yeah, I think that's just one that we kind of, we count our win and not try your luck a second time. Not that I have a ton of faith in Florida State, but just something tells me about Wake Forest that we might be pressing our luck with that one.
Yeah, and this is also, if Florida State is to have any kind of good spot, a bounce back spot, this
It'll
might
be
be it
here
at home.
uh,
So
off a bye week, correct? I believe I don't think they played at all last week.
yeah,
So yeah, that's one. I think that's at least for me. That's one that I'm staying far away from.
man. And to go back real quick with Auburn, so I'll make that a best bet -10 for Kentucky, or excuse me, for Auburn, because
Okay.
I mean, like when you look at Auburn's schedule, it's the games against the Vanderbilts, and of course I know they already lost to Missouri, but the Missouris and the Vanderbilts and the Arkansas of the world seem to be more challenging than what you would have thought coming into the year. I know they lost to Missouri in a close game, they beat Arkansas in a close game, but man, if there is a spot to take a team that has been underwhelming, lost a lot of close games, but it's like I've seen it before with these kind of teams, John, where like they're so close to breaking through, and maybe they don't for the season, but there's
Hmm.
that game or two on their schedule where it's like, man, just imagine if they always played like that against like the
Yeah.
lower teams on against the worst teams on their schedule, against the lower end talented teams on their schedule in terms of talent. This is that spot for Auburn to say, hey, we may not be here for this year to, have to make a great run. Obviously, that time's already gone.
Yeah.
They, but it's to kind of let them know that Hugh Freeze and what we're building here is for real, and that once we find our guy at quarterback, watch out. And if there's a spot for them to instill that confidence, this is it
Yeah.
against Kentucky at home. You got a Kentucky team reeling right now. Like if they don't if Auburn wins and Kentucky like backdoor covers or whatever, that's a bad beat for me.
Yeah.
Sorry for our viewers and whatnot for best bet material. But this is not a game that Auburn should be in a close game. This is not a team that Auburn should be in a close game with for the full 4 quarters. So
Yeah.
if you
I
also want to
agree.
play Auburn like -5 for the first half, I also get that. That's not a bad bet either. But at the same time, you're also trusting Auburn to score enough points to get that large enough lead that early instead of just them wearing down Kentucky. So I think Auburn -10 is probably just the best way to go.
Okay. So we're locking that one in for you. And what's the next one?
Rice plus 14 and a
The
half.
Rice game, and this is a Friday game.
Yep, I love that one.
And that's it right now, correct? You just had the two?
Yeah, I've considered several other things, but I don't have as many favorite plays as I did last week. That's for
Okay.
sure.
All right. Well, then I'll run through mine really quick and we'll wrap it up here. All right. So right now I've got New Mexico +5 circled. Not one that I fired away yet, but that's a number that I will be watching up until Friday. Same thing with Minnesota. I'm waiting to see with there being juice towards Michigan State. Waiting to see if we get a 3 there with the Golden Gophers. But Minnesota minus 3.5, one that I'm looking at to see how the number kind of moves. Um, Kansas State plus 7.5, one that I already fired away on. Mississippi plus 4.5, one that I'm waiting, but I really want to be on the Bulldogs. But I'm kind of going to give it a couple days to see if this line moves anywhere. Tennessee minus 3, another one I gave out yesterday, and it's still at minus 3 in most spots. So I love the Volunteers laying 3 points. Nebraska plus 6.5. That's one I'm going to keep an eye on to see if we can get a 7. I would love a 7 there. But again, this is a game I think Nebraska can win. I do hope, and I'm waiting to see if a 7 shows. I'll be patient with. I'm not the biggest Nebraska fan, so I'll be pretty patient with that game. And then one that I was kind of flirting with here, West Virginia plus 14. We'll see if a 14 holds. This may go down to 13 and a half. So if it's 13 and a half, that's I probably don't want anything to do with it. But that's another number that we're going to keep an eye on. And same thing with the Texas game minus 1. Not one. We just discussed it. Not one that I have a bet on yet. But I believe this is a game where the Longhorns can have a great game against Vanderbilt, especially if the backup quarterback plays for the Longhorns. We'll just have to wait and see. Because of injury issues, I'll wait to see how this number looks. But as of right now, it's just one that I'm keeping an eye on.
I'll say another game that I'm kind of got my eye on. I just can't
Okay.
get around to backing this
Yep.
team. North Carolina plus the points at Syracuse because North
Oh.
Carolina has actually been playing better defensively. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
a team that, early on in the season where it's like, okay, they're not terrible defensively. They are bad offensively,
Yeah.
though. And Syracuse, we were already low on coming into the season. Steve Angeli was making Syracuse look better than what they were. Like, Steve was obviously playing really well. Still
Mm-hmm.
don't think Syracuse was all that good. They had to come back to beat UConn at home. They got pummeled by Tennessee. They looked good against Colgate. They looked good against Clemson. That was more about Clemson, and that's all people remember is that Colgate and Clemson. But I still didn't think Syracuse was all that great. Well, once
Yeah.
Steve went down with an injury, they have looked awful. So that kind of goes to show that what we were telling y'all about Syracuse not having a good roster for this year is true. So Syracuse is not good anywhere. At least North Carolina has a right now a decent to good-ish defense. Offensively, they're still challenged though. But Syracuse is challenged everywhere. Um, North Carolina, couple of heartbreaking losses in a row in ACC play, but they are that close to getting a win. Meanwhile, Syracuse is 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games, and to be honest with you, it's not even that close. So, like maybe North Carolina getting Syracuse is a 2.5 point favorite here. North Carolina plus the points may not be a bad bet either. I
Yeah.
just that might just be a game I just kick back and hope pull for North Carolina because I'm not too far away from cashing in the Syracuse win total under 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm probably gonna have a few more best bets on Friday to
Yeah.
confirm. But as of now, Auburn minus 10, Rice plus 14.5 is my favorite play of the week.
I like it.
Early on, but um, yeah, looking around. By the way, like for those listening, Rice plus 14. There's some flat 14s out there. That's not bad either. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that as well. Um, let's see. I also thought Temple hosting East Carolina. East Carolina is a
That's one that I was thinking about. It was like 5.5 down to 4.5, I believe. That's one to keep an eye on because I think that's one you should circle because that looks like a perfect spot to back the Owls there.
I agree. Oh, not for this week, but for future reference, I would take Duke, whatever that line is, when they host Virginia. I would take Duke to cover.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they play They're at Clemson this weekend.
Yes. Look, you and I have been on, tailing Virginia, although they haven't looked that good last couple of weeks. They've kind of, honestly, John, Virginia has kind of luck boxed the last couple of wins, and actually last few wins.
Playing
Um,
down to their competition a little bit.
yeah, perhaps. I also just don't think, like, for these random breakthrough teams that you and I were discussing, and Virginia being one of them, we liked them because a little bit of an improved roster, a lot of senior laden leadership across that roster, across that team, but it also had a lot to do with their opponents. And if you were to highlight in the summer Virginia's most difficult opponents from a talent standpoint, Florida State, Louisville, there's not a lot of tough teams there. After that, like splitting hairs between NC State and Duke,
Yeah.
they were lucky to beat Louisville. It turns out Florida State still sucks. They lost to NC State, and they still have to go on the road to play Duke. I feel like Virginia's time is coming at this point. Like, they've already broken through. They've already achieved what they had to, what our expectations were for them. But like they've been a little bit fortunate as of late. Where I'm saying is I think they've kind of capped here recently, and you can tail teams for a certain period of time, but if you are like thinking about like the floor and the ceiling for a team in terms of their talent, Virginia, like if they were underrated to begin the season, in our opinion, they've already achieved our expectation, and now they're kind of already capping our expectation. There's probably
Hmm.
going to come a time to fade a team like that. BYU, their time is coming for sure. We said it with Iowa State and LSU earlier this year, and it feels like Virginia's time is coming. And it may be this week at Cal, but then again, I'm not high on Cal. I was
Yeah.
higher on Duke than Cal to begin the season, so I'm not going to pull the trigger this week with Cal against Virginia. I'm going to wait to pull the trigger against Virginia, facing a team that I was already higher on to begin the season, and that's Duke. So again, looking ahead if you for future weeks, I'm laying it with Texas Tech against BYU, um, and then I'll be laying it with Duke against Virginia, unless Duke has a ton of injuries or something. But yeah, that's on my radar.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up there. See how some of these lines play out. CFE, the encyclopedia's on Rice plus 14 and a half. That's on Friday, as well as Auburn laying 10 Saturday against Kentucky. And for myself, I'm on K State plus 7.5. Tennessee -3. The rest, I'm waiting to see how these numbers shake out. So those are my two early plays. I love them. But yeah, that's everything that I have. What about you? You got anything else to close us out with?
Iowa State 5.5 to a 6.5 point favorite, depending on where you look, hosting Arizona State. Um, I also thinking about taking the Notre Dame team total over against Boston College.
Okay.
But that number is high. It's around 42. I mean, they might score that and more. They might,
Yeah.
but um, to me, like with Notre Dame this year, uh, at this point, I'm very interested in just taking their team total overs because I know they're going to want to put up good performances to
Hmm.
make the CFP. Because if they win out, they're probably in. But it wouldn't hurt Notre Dame's case if they looked really good winning,
Yeah.
So, and they're playing against teams that if you play your A effort, you can kind of expose. BC's one of those teams, especially with their defense.
Yep.
So, and by the way, Notre Dame is a 28.5 point favorite at Boston College. If you think that's too many, then take BC. The game total, the point total overall is 56.5. Um, so I mean, I think Notre Dame's going to put up a pretty large number against BC, but we'll see.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there, and we'll be back on Friday for our normal show. I look forward to it because I'm loving a lot of these games this week. So I am looking forward to Friday. And if one of these games hits our number and I jump on it, I will tweet it out. Again, follow us at DDSN underscore US and CFE at CFE Grind on X, Twitter, and good luck. And we'll talk to y'all soon. All right, we'll see you.